And greetings, wonderful people. Bless you and thank you and all that good stuff. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. And again, and again. I'd like to ask you a question. You ever had the feeling that everything was comfortable, everything was cool, everything was just nice, and you relax? You just come home, you're tired, you're aggravated a little bit, but you're not letting it bother you. So you want to relax, you just want to lay back and, you know, chill a little bit, they call it. You know what I mean? Nothing important, nothing special, just lounging because I'm home. I'm away from the job. I'm waiting for the traffic. I'm waiting for the situation. I'm waiting for people. I'm away from everything that bothers me. So I just want to lay back. But then again, but again, there's a storm of brewing that you're not even aware of. You're not even thinking about it. Ah, the storm is close by even. But you don't see it. You don't think about it again. Like I say, but then again, you just, well, it's all right. Nothing about it. It's going to be cool. Just a little phase. Uh, it's just not nothing to worry about, nothing to be concerned about. But actually, you don't really see it because you are so naive in the situation that it under your nose. The red flags are under your nose. The red flags is flying like mad. Storm is lightning outside, it's raining outside, but you're in your house, you're comfortable. But all the time, there's a storm in your midst. Yeah. So you don't see these signs. You don't see these situations that's brewing and coming about. You don't see the quietness. You don't see the aggravation. You don't see the feelings about loneliness. You don't feel the feeling of being people that say not being active. In other words, you know what I mean. Everybody's in their own little world. Everybody's in their quiet places. Everybody's just comfortable. Yeah, but still, you haven't paid any attention to the situation. So, this is where we are today. In our message today, we're talking about the behaviors, the red flags that can ruin and destroy a marriage because you're not paying attention to those things. And sometimes you're holding on to this flag, still holding on to this situation instead of letting go of the garbage, let go of the animosity, let go all of the baggage, and let go of the past and the hurts and the trauma and the drama and all that stuff. But you fail to act on these things because you know that action this determines character. So with no action, where's your character? You're just there, you're just another person occupying space, occupying a situation, and there's a big old dent in that sofa that you've been sitting there or that easy chair that's yours. The big print, you know. So this is how you becoming comfortable in your mess. You don't brood, you don't nothing. You just there, and then what makes it so bad? Everything is timed, everything is clocked, everything is scheduled, everything is there. It's like wow, born, inactivities and nothing like that, all this stuff there. But you feel that you're comfortable because ah, you go to work, you're making halfway decent money, and you just how you say providing. You providing. You say I'm providing, I'm protecting, and I'm a priest in the house because I'm the man of the house, right? But yet and still, you're not considering other people. And that consideration that we talked about before, we're inconsiderate. So but now you have not paid any attention to those red flags. So you in denial. In other words, and then here we go again. We're talking about, well, you so naive that you see things, but you don't see it. And this is what happens too many times in a relationship. We're so naive, things that happen right up under our nose that we pass right on by. Either you might notice something, but you don't really get into it to find out what's going on. You're not concerned. You're not showing any empathy, not showing consideration, not showing any compassion. That is, you know what I mean. And these are the things that's happening in uh, relationship. The thing that's happening in I say those the, points and places that we're looking at, some of those behaviors that we do. When you're not paying attention, when you have no compassion and no concern, then what do you think the other person be? Because you're not even concerned about how they feel. You don't have any compassion, either empathy about what they're doing, how they're doing. Where's your feeling? Where's your emotions in these things? Are you there just to say, well, I'm the man of the house, and then you overlook the problem, overlook the situation, and the next thing you know, things start to escalating. It's like a bacteria, like a germ. It starts growing. If you don't put medication on it, take care of it, or do a surgery on it, it's going to continue to grow. And like weeds out there in the garden, you're going to grow, and then you'll have no fruit, no vegetables, because now the weeds going to take over the situation. And then here come the insects. You don't pay attention to what's going on. So you have to be, you're so naive about the situation, like, oh, you don't really believe that it's true? Wow. Somebody brings something to you and you say, oh, I don't believe it. I didn't know that would happen. Why, what happened? Why should they have to ask you to explain to you all these things when you should have been knowing them all along the first time? You should have been picked up on these things. You should have picked up on the situation, whereas you will know what's going on. And then so many times we hear people talking about, well, don't do nothing, don't say nothing, just let it find out what's going on for real. And then when you get all the evidence, you compile the evidence, then you got to go see a lawyer, you got to go see a private detective, and then you got to waste time for the job. You got to take some time off from work. Then you got to worry about your bank account. You got to worry about your insurance policy. You got to worry about your credit cards. Then you got to worry about going to the courthouse and check out your property. Then you got to research the divorce situation in this area, and then you might face the situation, but then you don't really face it because now it's all up in your face for real, for real. So now, like, oh wow, what happened here? You know what I mean? And this is what's going on too many times with our behavior situation, and that's why I'm bringing it to you, because even in this behavior of being naive, even when you're talking about how we say come to find out, like, say, okay, being betrayed, that is, that's another one. That's another situation they come about. Betrayal. Okay? So now betrayal is like, oh, getting thrown under the bus, uh, kicked to the side, backstab. All these things come to betrayal. And even we come to a place where it says we've been, I say, lied to, deceived, that is. So not just say going out cheating and violating the vows and violating the situation they come about, but no, betrayal goes farther, go much farther than that. So too many times we accuse other people of betraying, and we are betrayal ourselves. That's why we have to get to know what betrayal really is. Betrayal is selling somebody out. That's how we say when we come to a place where they say, "Oh, you disrespect somebody," and disrespectful is another place that we do. It's in the red flag zone. Disrespect. So when we are disrespectful, but then after you come to find out, that say, "Okay, I'm not going to be naive anymore," but then again, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're denying the situation that happened. You denying the truth. You denying that did it happen for real? And then you like asking questions, but then all of a sudden you feel bad. You have the hurt. You have the pain. Now you have the now you feel that remorse. You feel the pain, the sorrow. Now you want to feel like, okay, I'm so sorry this happened. Then they trying to ask you for about forgiveness. Then I'll never forgive because I'm hurt. I have pain, I'm this and I'm that and everything. And then you go into a depressed state situation, whereas all the time you could have been avoiding this whole situation by having a conversation. And this is why we have communication up front. And that was the first thing that we should do anyway when we start to get into a relationship, or get into a position of something that's different, something that manage, meaningful in our life, communicating. And in that communication, we don't just say, what's your name, what's your sign, uh, what food you like, what's your color. No, we find out more. Get down, get dizzy. Uh, you know, what about some of your heritage? What about your lineage? All this stuff, you know what I mean? Where you from? Where your people from? Who are they? But you know what? No, no fun. But still, when you be asking these kind of questions, you don't just act like you the FBI. You don't act like you in the police station where you got to ask these questions with your little notepad, writing down, write down, write down. But you forming these things in your mind. You forming these things, and then you might even, go away for a while, go in the bathroom somewhere, and then you record or you write it down then. Well, if it's something that you think you're gonna miss or leave, but always the how you say, put these things in your heart and your spirit about what's going on. And then you share. They ask you questions. You ask them questions. You ask them questions. That's communication back and forth, back and forth. Because we talked about before how people don't listen. And not listening is another form of behavior. It's a red flag. We should always listen to what somebody has to say, unless they're talking about something crazy, something way out in left field, something that's not worthy of conversation. Then shut them down, shut them off. Hey, I don't want to hear it. Now you don't want to hear it. That's good. So this is how we get to do things. This is how we come into that place where we have to understand what is happening in our life, what happened day by day by day. You know what I mean? So when we talking about uh, betrayal, yeah. So they messed up. Oh, they violated our principle, the respect, the vows, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? I can't trust them no more. But see, it's more than that. It's more than that. Betrayal is also when it's like in the military, not so in the military, when you uh, how you call it, you speak on somebody like a false witness or something like that, or you to give somebody up as a traitor, that's a betrayal too. Because even the scripture tell you that in the end time, how brothers will betray each other, brothers will betray brothers, and then the children will come against the family, the parents, and the parents will betray children. This is getting to be rough, people. So that's why we have to really start to preparing ourselves. We start to getting our mind together in all these things. Be renewed in the spirit of our mind, being transformed. Transformation is so important. And then when it said we have new creation, new creature, we are the temple of the Holy Spirit. Act like it. Act like it. We can't walk around in a dim place, a dark place, and say that, oh, I'm in the light, I'm the light, I'm this, that, and other. And somebody say, well, what about this? What about that? What about the standards? When you set boundaries, when you set boundaries, do you really talk about the boundaries like you're supposed to? Discuss these boundaries. There's limitation. And then there's not only say limitation, but then we have also, like say, righteousness, holiness, purity, perfection. Those are standards that are set by the Most High from Jump Street. These are standards that we must uphold to. But we're not upholding to. But then how you expect for the spouse not to hold up to, or other people? But then still, we have to sometimes do things on our own to know that this is how we're supposed to do. This is the path that we're following, because we're not alone in this journey. We got other people on this journey. But then again, we must act like, as in a situation of relationship, that We are together as one, one spirit, one flesh, that is. United to the Lord, you become one spirit with him. United to each other, we become one flesh, one body. We're no longer John and Jill, Jack and Jill. We're just one person. And that one person is like, okay, well, how can you separate the two? Actually, you don't. That's why they said till death do we part. But it's not happening like that. But then you look at a situation where it said that, okay, well, what about your attitude? What about the situation is? Another thing that we do in toxic behavior is having a bad mentality, and they call that said that bad mentality, but also it has now become a humility. Are you humble? Are you kind? Are you meek? Are you showing respect? Are you showing consideration? Ah, the fruit of the spirit must be played in everybody's life. That is so. Without humiliation, not being humble, then you think you're high-minded. You think you're this. You think you're that. But in the meantime, we go back to say that okay, since you avoided the situation, you didn't see the situation, you wasn't aware of the situation because you were so naive that you just let it pass by. And now all of a sudden you want to try to make up for everything. You want to do this, do that, and the other. Then you reaching into a situation called pride. And then pride is one of the hardest things, one of the strongest things that's against the principles of the true spirit of emotion. Pride would say, is that pride before a fall? So therefore, we have to come to a joint, come to a understanding what pride really is. So it's good to have a concern. It's good to have a humor. It's good to have honor. And there's a certain amount of situation that say you uplifting. That's called joy. That's called peace. That's called praise. It's called happiness. It's called love, even, right? But when you have that joy, see, people take the joy for pride. No, you can't separate the two. No, it's two separate things. But even though they're similar in nature, because when you're proud, you feel happy, you feel joy, you feel good about the situation. But then with pride, you like, I'm this, I'm all of that, and the cup and the t-shirt and the often bug go with it too. But when you have joy, it's like a spread out. It's like a, ooh, it's so good, it's so wonderful. And the joy that surpasses, that means the joy is so good. It's like, yes, I'm here. You know what I mean? But then with joy, you want to bring somebody with you. But with pride, you by yourself more or less. Then you have that narcissistic type attitude. That's another red flag situation. So these are some of the 19 different things that we have that we run across to, and we're going to add them to them, and we can combine them sometime. You know what I mean? When we're combining them, you'd be surprised, like, wow, I didn't know that was that bad. Because see, in life sometimes we always say that, most not always, but anyway, we say that, oh well, it doesn't that mean that much. It doesn't take all of that. But if God can tell you about a snowflake, he can tell you about the number of hairs on your head. If he knows about the bird, his eyes on the sparrow, and not one fall to the earth without him knowing about it. He can tell you about a grain of the wheat that goes into a loaf of bread. You know how much wheat goes into a loaf of bread? Come on now. Ah, almost like a pound of wheat. You know, a pound of wheat is how you said, not even a quarter of an acre of wheat grains. So you know what I mean? It's like you really have to understand the nature and the value and the wisdom that God have for us. That God have and the show that He have. So therefore, we have to stop all this calculating and all this stuff, you know. But yeah, how you say, um, when you want to do something, Not only do you experience things or experiment, not say experiment, but research situation and thing, take a look at it, take a deep look at it, and then you can make an understanding of what you got to do, what you want to do. All right, now, so then after when you does all, you get rid of your pride, get rid of your self-centeredness, get rid of the ego, those things that's holding us back, those things that hold us into a bad place. We learn how to forgive. We start to say be grateful. All this, them being able to wait on the situation because we don't override, overthink things. You know what I mean? But be conscious of everything. Be aware of things, and He will give us understanding in all things. So therefore, we have to really be humble before Him. Bow down more or less. Submit yourself to Him. Submit yourself one to another, even. And then understand what they say. Listen to what they're saying. And then communicate by all means. Constantly communicating. And then after you communicate, then we have we need to say, where is your compassion? Then we start to drawing towards each other, having compassion towards each other. But if you don't have the compassion, if you don't have consideration one to another, then you don't have compassion. And then compassion is tell you that, okay, are you concerned? Are you with that person? Or do you feel that person pain? Do you feel that person anxiety? Do you feel that person anguish? Do you feel their loneliness? And that's why so many times we have problems and issues in relationship, especially in a marriage, that there's no compassion. In other words, there's no energy, there's no electricity. And this is where everybody, two people going separate ways. No, or either one person trying to make up for lost time because they're going out meeting somebody random and everything, whereas the person that you really need is right there. You good to go one time before. Why not now? Why do you have to go outside to a stranger or someone that you really knew from before, and then here's somebody at your house that can really do the job? Are you talking to that person? Are you communicating with that person? Let that person know. But then that's why sometimes that when you're not approachable, and we went through that too. Sometimes that person, your spouse, is not approachable because when you try and bring up something to them, a confession or something, they go off the deep end. They slam bam you, they humiliate you, talk about you, and crucify you. So you close your mouth and you suffer, and then you keep that silent thing. Next thing you know, the habit is forming. And speaking of habits forming out of situation, out of problems and conditions, you know what I mean? So like here we go with the one thing that we're gonna bring up. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about intimacy. Intimacy. A lack of intimacy. When you don't have true intimacy, because what you're doing is like say, and we're just gonna be real, talk grown up, other stuff, right? What we're doing is just transfer fluids. That's what most couples do, especially one of the people that's in the couple. They just transfer in fluids because this is what they want. Boom. No, it's more than that. More than that. And I was so glad to hear a woman talk about how that in the past women were not trained, they wasn't not taught. Nobody concerned them about this thing. But then you look back in the situation, look back in the archives, right? People that were born back in the 50s, back in the 40s and 50s. Now, at when the 70s and 80s come along, they are having children, right? And then here come the 90s and 2000. Their children are like halfway grown, more or less. But the kid and then those people that were back in the 50s and 60s, they retired. They out of here. They are set down. And then you go to church, that old mama or auntie, they used to check a girl out. Hey girl, get that dress down a little bit more. You know what I mean? Either they used to wear a thing called a girdle, pantyhose, all that stuff. They, ah, everything is hanging out, everything is loose. Don't shout. Ooh, Lord have mercy. You know what I mean? You can see everything. And then here come a couple of women, a couple of the ushers with these little sheets. All right, okay, put the sheet over. Only when they pass out, laying on the floor, then you put the sheet over. But now in the meantime, they shouting, are they running around, are they doing this, doing that, or just sitting there, and you like, wow, why don't you close the legs? You know what I mean? So it's like going to church. It's like going to a club. So, we change these things. The whole narrative has been changed in so many times. And then you said, where's the intimacy? Intimacy is that love, that care, that combined, compassion towards one another, caring towards one another. When you care for someone, you have a certain feeling, a certain emotion towards them. But then that's intimacy. But when you're just there because of lack of self control, the lack of discipline, you just do anything. You just won't. And that's why, well, you my wife, I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to, but you have no concern, no care, no compassion, no consideration, being inconsiderate about their emotion, their feelings and everything. So in other words, they feel that they've been used. So now they go outside the thing. So this is why when we come to the intimacy, and believe it or not, most of the marriages are divorced because of the, how you said, communication. We're not talking, either not talking the right thing, either intimacy, because they're not satisfied. Oh, I wasn't satisfied. You didn't do this, can you do that? And I felt bored. I felt lonesome. I felt empty. Uh, this other person make me smile. This other person make me laugh. This other person have me joy and peace, everything. But what happened? But when you first got married, for the first 2 or 3 years, y'all was like rabbits. Y'all was like in and out, in and each other's situation all day and every day. What happened? Come to find out. But nobody's talking about these things as much as they should be. You wearing your husband out because a woman can look up longer than a man can look down. So therefore, wearing him out. So we need to start to reaching that 30-year-old, 40-year-old mark, which is like about 15 to 20 years of marriage, maybe 10 years of marriage, in 20, 30, yeah, 15, 12, 15 years of marriage. He started to wear down. He's not as functional as he used to be. He's not going to the gym like he should. He's not taking care of his body like he should. He's not eating right like he should. He's not communicating like he should. His mindset is like always on a job, on just some type of project or stuff like that. Sometimes you got to tell your boss, hey, look here, whoa, I'm doing my 40 hours. Come on now. You know what I mean? Well, just got extra money here, there. We'll hire somebody else. You know what I mean? I'm doing my job. I'm doing my due diligence. So look here, I have a family. I have a wife. I have children. I have responsibilities. And then when you have responsibilities, then what do? You show that you are capable of handling your responsibilities. But sometimes we don't think about those things. So we have to think about them each and every day. All right now? So we just want to bring this to you today, like reaching on down and everything. So when you have that empathy towards each other, I can feel your pain. I can feel your hurt. And I can walk in your shoes. Yeah. When we be able to do that, then your spouse will be perk up much more, much better. That's what I want to say. Yeah. So think about these things. Think about it. But when you out there all by yourself, not thinking, not talking, not understanding, don't want to understand, don't want to listen, don't want to wait, and then not paying attention, letting things slide, and then what happened? Well, who you think you're gonna blame? Who you gonna blame? Who are you going to blame? You have to blame yourself. All right? Because you're the man, you're the charge. And God put you in charge, and He put you in charge for a purpose and a reason. That you are a reflection of Him directly, man to man. All right now. So with that, one for people, I just want to bring it to you. Thank you, and like I said, let's do this thing and do it right. Pay attention to those red flags. Don't just, uh, how you said, throw them to the curb, but action. Know that they're there, and then take action against them. Dismiss those red flags. Get rid of them, and then occupy yourself with the things that said that if the red flag stand for one thing, change it. Change it to something that's going to be palatable. Change it to something that's going to be wonderful. All right now, and that's how you have to do something. Right now, it's like, well, how can we say that we this and we that? How come we can't speak those things that are not as though they are? Because it's in your mindset. You have that compassion. You have the faith to believe. So use it and utilize it. All right now. That's why they call it faith. All right now. Thank you, wonderful people. Bless you, bless you, bless you. And we're talking with each other, talking to you. And thank you for joining us wherever you are in this world. We really appreciate you. And thank you. All is good. And we'll see you soon and very soon with another episode. All right now. Uh, Take care. We shall maybe to bring it to the end by 4. And then we're going to put these things into a list and then have it out there for the public. Because we need to know these things. The free gift of God is eternal life. Are we seeking eternal life? Are we seeking, or do we care about what eternal life is all about? Are we holding on to the prophecy? Are we holding on to the fulfillment of His word? All right now? So, with that in mind, take care, take care, take care. Peace, grace, and love. Bye now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.